Come and listen on
Don't be afraid to catch fish.
Relax Radio.
The Chat Trap.
Good morning out to you, and welcome back to the show. How is everybody doing on this beautiful Thursday? I know I spoke about this before as well, and I feel like this week has been hectic to a lot of people. I spoke to a lot of my co-workers, and everybody's just hanging on by a thread. But I just want to remind you that it's gonna be okay. You just need to hang on in for a little longer and just believe that everything's gonna be okay. And also, if you need that extra dose of inspiration, if you just need that extra dose of daily conversation, well, all you gotta do is make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio, because we are talking about so many different things that we want to keep you updated with, and the point of Relax Radio, or the reason we're here, is to give you a wide variety of conversation, be it entertainment gossip, be it inspiration, lifestyle tips, to politics, to business, whatever it is. If you want to keep yourself on top of everything, well, all you got to do is make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. I am Jamie, and I'm going to be here with you for a couple more hours talking to you about a lot of interesting things. And I definitely want to know what you're thinking. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your opinions. And it's super simple. We've made it as easy as possible for you, okay? All you got to do, if you're listening to us on our social media platforms, all you got to do is leave a comment down below, or wherever the option is available. All you gotta do is hit, let me know what you're thinking. And since this is happening live, I can talk to you and reply and react to all of those comments, which is super cool if you ask me. So go ahead, let me know what you are thinking. Let me know if you agree with what I have to say, or if you disagree, that's okay. Go ahead and let me know. You could also call us on 07852473473. If you missed that number, that's okay, because it's on the screen right now. You could either WhatsApp me or call me, whatever that's easier for you. Please do go ahead and do just that, okay? All right, let's get back into the conversation. And I feel like I did have quite a lot of people talking about this thing. We have Sam on Twitch who's listening in right now. Thank you for being a part of the show, first of all. And thank you for sharing your ideas. Now, according to Sam, he says that he doesn't necessarily agree with this difference between pleasure and happiness that I've been talking about, right? I told you how a lot of us, me included, trust me, me included, we kind of tend to confuse pleasure and happiness. We think that, having a bunch of cars, or having a bunch of money and living in a luxurious mansion is going to make us happy. But I told you earlier on, we were kind of touching on this subject, and I told you how that is not happiness. That is just momentary pleasure. Anything that you get from external people, or any satisfaction that you get from external things, that is just pleasure. Maybe it could lead to happiness, but you having a whole bunch of money, you having a mansion to live in, doesn't automatically mean that you are happy. Okay, now I know that you probably disagree with me, because I did have Sam who said no, his path to happiness, he said, basically what he meant through what he said was that his path to happiness was basically, becoming financially stable. And I completely get that. But I want you to hear me out for a second as well. What I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes we use this term of pleasure and happiness interchangeably. And yes, true enough, I agree with you if you're thinking that, both of them can invoke each other. But what I'm saying is that they're two completely different concepts. Okay, like I said, pleasure comes from external things. It comes from the people around you. But happiness, or eternal happiness, comes from something within. So you can barely have anything. You can barely have a roof above your head. You can barely have anything to eat, but you can still be happy. Now, okay. If you still don't believe me, just hear me out for one more second, okay? Let's take an example. You get an amazing car. It is your dream car. You've been wanting it since you were a little child, and you finally get your hands on this car, right? And you are happy. You are extremely pleased with yourself. You are satisfied. You are happy that you were able to, get that particular car. But you get news of some really devastating situation that happens, say, with your family. Okay, and that momentary pleasure right then and there is just going to go away. Okay, so see, do you understand that things that invoke pleasure or momentary pleasure or whatnot could be wavered or could be negated if you hear something that's worse, or if you hear some other situation that is negative, or if you're in a negative situation, all of that pleasure, that feeling of satisfaction can go away in a poof, like I told you before, right? And that is the difference between pleasure and happiness. Okay, now I know I've been talking to you about this quite for quite some time, but what I want to do right now, I know you're like, oh, Jamie, this is so cliche or whatnot, but how can we actually be happy? Trust me, that's a question that all of us have. That's a question, no matter how much money you have, everybody at some point they're just like, I've done this and I've done this and I've spent time with friends. I have enough money, but why am I not happy? That is a question that a lot of people ask themselves at some point in their life, right? Okay, so what I want to do right now, and I started doing this earlier on, I want to show you, or I want to tell you how you can experience this eternal happiness. Because earlier on, we already spoke of the relationship between eternal happiness or everlasting happiness and internal happiness, right? So, what I want to do right now is to explain to you, or is to point out to you how you can experience this eternal happiness. And we already spoke of one thing. We spoke of how you need to find your life purpose. When you find your life purpose, that essentially is going to offer you eternal happiness. Secondly, again, this is going to sound so cliche, but I need you to hear me out for a second. I need you to bear with me, and I need you to really listen. These are all things that you've probably heard on your social media. You're scrolling through Instagram. These things that I'm going to talk to you about are probably every motivational quote that you are going to come across on your Instagram feed, or you're on your TikTok or whatnot. But I want you to really listen. I want you to really comprehend that these are not just a bunch of words, but this possibly and potentially can change your life. And the thing that I do want to talk to you about, how you can experience this eternal happiness that I've been talking about, firstly, is how you need to be yourself and love yourself. Hold on. Before you judge me for saying that, before you go like, oh no, I can't hear this one more time, I want you to find your uniqueness. Okay, I feel like, again, this could be just me, so let me know if you disagree with me, but I feel like the society that we're living in, it kind of pushes us to form, or it kind of pushes us or forces us to fit into a certain mold, right? It tells us this is how you're supposed to look, this is how you're supposed to do this. You get your degree by 2025 latest, you get married by your 30, have a stable family life when you're 35, and be financially stable by your by I don't know, your 30s. And this is the timeline, the perfect timeline that society has kind of pushed down your throat, right? But one thing that I want you to realize is that's not true. That's not even close to true. Every single one of us um, have different capabilities, and every single one of us is different, and we are unique, and that's what makes us beautiful. So don't ever give in to this facade that is created by society. Don't ever be like, oh, this is what other people look like, so I need to look like this, or this is what other people do, so I need to do this. That is absolutely not true. If you do that, you are never going to be able to love yourself. You are never going to be able to just be yourself. Okay, so be what you want to be, do what you love doing, and always love yourself. Okay, so I feel like this quote in itself is super like everybody's heard of it, but it's something that I try to live by. You are born on original, so don't die and copy. Okay, that is definitely life advice that you could adhere to. So make sure that you adhere to that. Okay, I do have a lot more things that I want to share with you actually, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. Before I head on off to a little break, I just want to remind you to hit that thumbs up button if you're listening to us on our social media. I definitely want to know if you're liking what I'm talking about, or is it sounding like a bunch of not so important stuff. Go ahead and let me know. Call me up and get on board the show. Get on board the journey with us here at Relax Radio. I'm going to head on over to a little break right now, but when I come back, I do have a lot more interesting things to talk to you about. So good afternoon, good morning for now.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time, and we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.